While everyone's arguing online about migrants, mayors, and Mamdani memes, something much bigger is happening quietly inside the US Supreme Court. A case that could decide whether any president, not just Trump, can rule the economy by simply declaring an emergency. And this one isn't a side story. It could reshape how power, law, and money flow in America. This case is about Donald Trump's use of emergency powers to impose massive tariffs, starting in his first term and continuing into his current one. It began back in 2018 when Trump used a Cold War-era law called the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEEPA, to slap tariffs on goods from dozens of countries. That law was designed for national security crises, to let presidents freeze terrorist assets or respond to foreign threats, not redesign global trade. Fast forward to today, Trump's second term still leans on that same law to justify new economic emergency tariffs, the so-called Liberation Day tariffs announced earlier this year. That's why this case matters right now. If the court strikes down the use of IEEPA, it won't just rewrite history. It could instantly affect Trump's current tariffs too. After years of lower court battles, dozens of American importers sued, arguing that the president doesn't have the constitutional power to impose taxes and tariffs, that power belongs to Congress. Now the Supreme Court is asking the same question. Did Trump, and by extension every president, overstep by claiming emergency powers that don't actually exist for trade? So during oral arguments today, even some conservative justices sounded skeptical. They asked questions like, can a president just declare an emergency every time they want new tariffs? And that's not hypothetical. If this case goes Trump's way, every future president could use that loophole to bypass Congress entirely on trade, energy, or technology. If it goes against him, it could shut that door for good. These tariffs still affect prices today: electronics, furniture, clothing, food, you name it. If the court rules that IEEPA cannot be used this way, it could invalidate some of today's tariffs, force the administration to shift to other legal justifications, open the door for hundreds of billions in refunds to importers, and most importantly, limit Trump's current and future ability to reshape the economy by decree. So yes, even though this case started years ago, it directly threatens the foundation of the tariffs in place right now. But this isn't just legal. It's also psychological. Authoritarian systems don't begin with tanks. They begin with exceptions, with the words "for your safety" or "for your country," with emergencies that never end. Rome fell into dictatorship through emergency decrees. Russia uses security threats to silence dissent. And in America, the modern version is economic emergencies. Tools meant for crisis, slowly normalized for convenience. Once a leader learns that calling something an emergency lets them bypass the rules, that's when democracy quietly starts to dissolve. On paper, through procedure, through precedent, okay? The justices have finished hearing arguments, and now they deliberate. Well, that process can take months. We'll likely get a decision in late spring or early summer of the next year. If they side against Trump, it will be a landmark case, redefining the boundary between executive power and congressional authority. If they side with him, it sets a precedent that presidents can't reshape trade policy without Congress. Either way, this decision will ripple through prices, trade, and politics worldwide. This case isn't really about tariffs. It's about control. about whether the US government still operates on checks and balances or on the personal will of whoever holds the office. If the court limits IEEPA, it will be one of the rare modern moments when the judiciary actually reigns in the executive branch. If it doesn't, we may have just normalized the economic version of martial law, permanent emergency governance, okay? So when you hear tariffs, don't just tune out. This isn't about trade, it's about power, because the word emergency has always been the favorite tool of every authoritarian ever. It's how freedom ends quietly, legally, and with a lot of paperwork. If you like this post, please subscribe and share it.